Hello citizens and welcome back. This is our match preview for Juventus versus Man City in the Champions League, so make sure to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Let's jump into it. I don't even care about this game. I genuinely do not care. I mean, I don't particularly care about the Champions League as an overall competition anyway. I'd rather win the league every year. Of course, we're being dumped out of the league. We're going to get dumped out of the Champions League. So yeah, I couldn't care less about this one. For me, it's about getting through without any injuries, any more nonsense, and just trying to pick up tiny bits of form or give players more minutes wherever they can get them. Because the important game is the weekend, and not because we're chasing a title, not because we're even chasing top four at the moment, but because, well, it's the Manchester derby, and right now, both of those teams are clowns. It could be any score. So the big one, Sunday, get this one out of the way. I don't care who Pep plays. That being said, I think Pep will look for a result. I mean, if you look at Juventus overall, they've drawn 5 of their last 6 games, and 3 of those have come in the Champions League: AC Milan, Aston Villa, and Lille. So Juventus are not in great form, but of course we're not in great form as well. We're in an absolute disaster of a run. Probably the worst Pep may have in his entire career, managerial career. You never know. So look, big game for both teams really. There's points here for someone. There's a win here for someone if they want it. But who's that going to be? Now, I can't see City improving drastically in the next week or so. You know, in fact, the whole of December, I think, is pretty much going to be a write-off for us. But Pep needs some sort of consistency in that team lineup. He's got to stop making changes in like the 87th minute and bringing somebody on just to, I don't know what to do. And a couple of people in the comments in the last video I did yesterday, saying that if you're going to take the youth team with you and you're going to fly all these academy players across the world into these games, you may as well play them. And I agree with that to some degree. You know, if we're having such a bad time in the Champions League as it is, it looks like we're not even going to make the bloody playoffs the way it's going. Then, I mean, we're definitely going to not make automatic progress. So play the academy players, put McAtee in there, put O'Reilly in, put Simpson Pussy in there. You know, how much worse can they possibly do than some of the players we've had this season? You know, can anyone do any worse than what Akanji's up to at the moment or Walker's up to? I'd say no. So put the academy players in, give them a run out, give them some minutes. And if you're going to rest players and just put them on the 87th minute in the next game anyway, rest them in this game. If you're not going to start them, then don't bring them on at all. Just play the academy players. And like I said, with United the weekend, Pep can't be messing about with his lineups here. He can't be, he can't play like De Bruyne in this game and then leave him on the bench for the United game, or bring Grealish on in this one and then take him back off for the United game. Because I swear to God, I'll start a mutiny if that happens. He has to focus on the United one. And part of me says, to do that, you need to play your best 11 that you've got available and fit right now. Play against Juventus. See what happens. Whether we win, lose, or draw, it doesn't matter. But play your best 11 and keep that same 11, barring any injuries, hopefully not, for the derby. That's what I would do. But also, part of me knows that, like I said in the last video as well, is that Pep can't help himself. He can't help be the little tinkerer. And I think it's going to be the downfall of him if he's not careful, because those tinkerings, as we've seen in the past, haven't exactly worked out for him, because he tends to make changes to teams or try and outthink himself when we're in a good run, when we're doing really, really well. And he's like, how can I throw this final? How can I throw this semi-final today? But right now, when it's really bad, he's gone into full-blown tinker mode, and every change he makes just makes us that slightly bit worse. You know, we finally got it right against Nottingham Forest. I know, we'll change it up a little bit, and then we have that performance against Crystal Palace. I just don't think he can help it. And he's got to fix that. He's got to get things right. And for me, like I said, I just play the best 11 that you've got, or the best 11 that he thinks he's got in this game. And regardless who it is, regardless who the defense, midfield, forward is, doesn't really matter. If he plays that same 11 against United in this game, then we have a much better chance of winning it, I think. Even if we have got Walker on the pitch. So who would I look at? Well, we know we've got many injuries. But out the... I sneezed earlier in that break and I'm running though. But we saw against Crystal Palace who Pep thinks is fit. And for me, if you're going to take that whole squad, it's going to have to be, well, the back four, you can't really change it, can you? Because we've got no one. It's going to have to be Lewis, Walker, Diaz, and Vardio. Now, Diaz and Vardy, I don't really mind. I know Vardy's having a terrible season so far. Well, he had a great start to the season, but then once we started losing, he just seems to make things worse. And we saw that against Sporting. We saw it against whoever the hell we played last final it was, wasn't he? He had an absolute disaster of a game. You know, confidence is low and he's just digging himself further into it. But we've seen that with the whole defence. You know, one mistake, that's the problem with us at the moment. One defence leads to an absolute collapse every single time because we're very good at conceding goals, one after the other in quick succession. And that's something we've got to get out of our system right now because United will counter-attack us really well at the weekend. They'll look to attack us in numbers, and Amorim's already done it with Sporting. He knows how to beat us now. He knows that if he soaks up enough pressure, we're going to offer nothing in that second half, and they can just attack pretty much at will. And I think that's what teams are doing against us right now. So he needs a good solid base for that defence. And Vardy, Diaz, if their only centre halves is fit, then so be it. I mean, it stops Vardy going forward, which is a shame because I think he's better going forward than he is defensive, particularly at the moment. And it means that Walker and Lewis are our fullbacks. Now, Lewis got a goal against Crystal Palace. I think he was harshly sent off. But Lewis, for me, I mean, Pep plays in about 12 different positions every season. And it's good that he's got that versatility, but he seems to be like, you know, jack of all trades, master of none. That's kind of what Lewis is at the moment. He doesn't seem to have a place in this team that's just his. He's just the one that you play when someone else is injured. And unfortunately for Lewis, I don't really want to see him leave the club. And the club have made plenty of mistakes with their academy players, selling them in recent years. I think it'd be another mistake to sell him, but under Pep's system, I just don't think he's got a place. And we've seen on Walker on the right side, he's fucking getting worse with each game. Walker is getting worse with each game that he plays, and I'm sick of it. And I swear to God, if he plays in this one and he doesn't challenge the forward for a header, I'll lose my mind. I will lose my shit. And if he lets another player run at him before he starts to close him down, you know, he invites them on to run and challenges them to a foot race because they'll win, I'll lose my mind as well. So hopefully he doesn't do that. My God, my nose. I had a really good sneeze there. I'm back onto the midfield. Play Gundogan, CDM. If Kovacic and Rodri are not fit, it's got to be Gundogan in that role. I don't see anyone else doing what he can do. The only player I would put in there other than Gundogan is Stones if he's fit. But it's going to have to be Gundogan. And ahead of him, De Bruyne, Grealish. I mean, how can you swap? That midfield three against Nottingham Forest were, like I said, fantastic for most parts. I know they had the moments, but the whole team had their moments. But Gundogan, Grealish, and De Bruyne. I mean, we've been calling for Grealish to play in the middle for years. He finally does it. He puts in a fantastic performance. Like, probably one of the, not man of the match, but he's not far off man of the match for me in Nottingham Forest game. And then he goes and swaps him out again. It's just baffling. Left-hand side's got to be Doku. He was playing himself into some sort of form. His confidence was high. And when his confidence gets high, Pep drops him. I mean, I liken Doku to Sterling a lot. Because Sterling was one of those players that if his first touch or his first shot went in or something like that, he played with a lot of confidence and he was much more dangerous. But when he misplaced a pass at the beginning of a game or he didn't start off as well as he wanted to, he just disappeared for the whole match. That's kind of like Doku for us. If he starts off well and he knows he can get past his full-back in the opening 5-10 minutes, the rest of the game goes quite nicely for him. But once he knocks out a play a few times or he gets dispossessed, his head drops and his form drops. But we finally played him with some sort of form, gave him some confidence for Forest, only to drop him against Crystal Palace. Crazy. It's going to have to be Bernardo on the right-hand side as well because, again, unlike Lewis, Bernardo can play a lot of roles. He's a jack of all trades, but he's a master of them all as well. He can do pretty much anything, Bernardo. And I think, other than Diaz, I think he's probably the most hard-working player on that team as well. Because Diaz, for me, is, honestly, without him, our defence is a shambles. I mean, they're shambles at the moment anyway, but without him, would be much, much worse. And the same about midfield. Regardless who we put in the middle, whether it's Grealish or Gundogan or Lewis or Foden or whoever, when Bernardo's not playing, we don't look quite the same. We don't look quite as balanced. Of course, Haaland up front's going to start banging in the goals. He got a good header against Palace. Possibly should have had another one. And he's going to have to work hard in this one as well. And look, the chips are down for Haaland. He's not getting the goals he wants. His link-up play is pretty decent. He is dropping deeper with each game to try and get into it and try and give the team some momentum. He played a wonderful through ball for Doku against Forest. But he's got to start banging him in because that's where we need him the most. And of course, Ortega and goal. Unless Pep wants to put Edison back in and show him a little bit more confidence before putting Ortega back in against United. I don't know. We'll have to see. That's it, really. I mean, what else can you say other than I don't really want to watch us at the moment? We're shambles. We really are. It's more exciting than winning every game, but bloody hell, you just don't know where the results are coming from. And no one seems to have any idea how to fix it. Pep doesn't, the players don't. You know, we're running around like headless chickens at the moment without any sort of purpose. And yeah, Juventus, I know I've said they've drawn 5 of the last 6 games. They've drawn the last 3 in the Champions League. But it's still capable of hurting us. Anyone in this competition is capable of hurting us, like we saw against Sporting, like we saw against Feyenoord. And I think, regardless of the result, if they score, we can't let them score 2 or 3, like in the next 5-10 minutes, like we've had a habit of doing this season. Because that will just destroy everything going into that derby game. And it won't give anyone confidence. The players, Pep, the fans. It'd be a very, I'm not going to say toxic atmosphere at the Etihad, because it'd never been. I think the fans will stick by the players no matter what, because they've given us some great times over the years. You know, we've had a treble just a couple of years ago, so I'm not going to get on the players' backs too much. But we do need to clear out in January. And if we concede, say it gets 1-0 to us at halftime, and then they score early on in the second half, and it ends up being 4-1 to them, I fear for Sunday. Well, thank you very much for watching. As always, I'm going to go blow my nose. Thank you very much. And yeah, hit like, hit subscribe. Bye-bye.